They told Namibia it had nothing. No oil, no gas, no manufacturing base. Just diamonds slowly running out, uranium prices that rise and fall with global politics, and a coastline that the world sailed past on the way to somewhere else. They were wrong. In February 2026, at a satellite station outside Windhoek, Namibian technicians sat down at consoles and began receiving real-time data from space. 14 of them, trained by Chinese experts, now operating entirely on their own, looking down at floods, fires and borders, and making decisions based on what they see. On the coast at Walvis Bay, a solar-powered electrolyzer is splitting water into hydrogen, green hydrogen. Africa's first commercial-scale facility. German taxpayers contributed €50 million. The EU has committed over 25 billion Namibian dollars in grants and loans. But the facility is Namibian. The Hydrogen Academy training Namibian workers is Namibian. The trucks refueling with hydrogen are Namibian. And in the remote Kunene region, where the desert meets the Atlantic, a $100 billion dream is moving from feasibility studies toward reality. A deep-sea port, a smart city, a railway crossing the continent, 70% of the equity reserved for Namibian and African shareholders. This is not aid. This is not charity. This is Namibia deciding that the 21st century will be different. If you believe that African nations can leapfrog the old development models entirely, tap the like button now. We are going deep into the Namibian transformation. And we are asking the question that matters. Who will this wealth really serve? The green hydrogen gamble. Let us begin at Walvis Bay, on the edge of the Namib Desert. The cold Atlantic current meets one of the oldest deserts on Earth. For centuries, this was just a beautiful empty coastline. Today, it is the epicenter of Africa's green hydrogen revolution. In September 2025, Cleanergy Solutions Namibia inaugurated the Hydrogen Dune facility, a 5-megawatt solar park spanning 6.5 hectares, a 5-megawatt PEM electrolyzer supplied by Plug Power, a 5.9 megawatt-hour battery storage system, and a hydrogen refueling station. Here is what happens. The sun hits the solar panels. The electricity splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen is compressed and stored. Then it fuels trucks, port equipment, and industrial applications. No carbon, no fossil fuels, just sunlight and seawater. Prime Minister Elijah Ngurare, speaking on behalf of President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, called it a historic milestone that will transform Namibia's economy and create new opportunities for citizens. Florian Seitz from Germany's Ministry of Research and Technology was equally emphatic. German citizens' tax payments have contributed almost €50 million of public money through the construction of this plant into related research and activities. I am proud to announce that yesterday our German government approved the further increase of funding of over €2 million for this future-related project. The EU has already committed over 25 billion Namibian dollars in grants and loans, unlocking billions more in private investment. EU Commissioner Joseph Sikela noted that the initiative proves international partnerships can deliver results, creating jobs, training young Namibians, and supporting small businesses. But here is the critical detail. The project is structured as a joint venture between Namibia's Altava and List and Belgium's CMB.TECH. It includes a hydrogen academy to train Namibians. The knowledge, the skills, the operational capacity, all staying in Namibia. This is the model. Not extraction, not dependency. Partnership with training built in. The $100 billion question. Now travel north. Kunene region, Cape Fria. One of the most remote stretches of coastline on the continent. No port, no city, just desert, ocean, and wind. By 2040, if the vision holds, this will be home to a deep-sea port, a master-planned smart city, an international airport, and a rail and road corridor connecting to a dry port at Katima Mulilo, 2,000 kilometers away on the Zambian border. The Kaoko Fria Smart City and Deep-Sea Port project has just completed its feasibility study. The verdict from the Environmental and Social Impact Assessment: environmentally acceptable, technically feasible, economically justified, and financially bankable. Michael Petrus, managing director of Kaoko Fria Investment, emphasizes what matters most. Putting people first must always be the guiding principle. This is a very costly exercise. We are talking about privately injecting millions of dollars to complete these feasibility studies. But what is very important is plowing back into the community. The numbers have grown since initial projections. Total capital investment has surged from $74 billion to an estimated $100 billion, approximately 1.5 trillion Namibian dollars. Spokesperson Emmanuel Ngifikwa explains, this is due to the enhanced port capacity, expanded smart city infrastructure, integrated logistics corridors, and long-term sustainability components validated through detailed technical and financial analysis. But here is what makes this project different from every other mega infrastructure proposal in African history. 70% of the equity is reserved for Namibian and African shareholders, 30% for international strategic partners, African ownership, local value retention, global collaboration on African terms. Governor Vipuakuje Muharukwa has been promoting this project since taking office. Cape Fria is a project that has been spoken about for the longest period, and I, as governor, when I joined the office, I have been promoting the project to unlock the region's logistics and diversify resources in the region. He acknowledges public skepticism. In 2010, a company called Desert Star promised to turn Namibia into Africa's Hollywood. It never happened. The memory of failed promises lingers, but this time, the feasibility studies are complete. The environmental assessments are done. The investment model is structured. Interest has been expressed by partners across Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. The question is no longer whether it can be built. It is whether it will be built for Namibians. Looking down from space. On February 12, 2026, at the Telecom Earth station outside Windhoek, another piece of the future clicked into place. China handed over a satellite ground data receiving station to Namibia, the first high-technology development assistance project China has ever undertaken in the country. Prime Minister Ngurare expressed gratitude on behalf of the Namibian government and the people of Namibia. He noted that China's financial resources and technical expertise had enabled Namibia to join a select group of African countries with modern ground stations capable of receiving real-time satellite data. 14 Namibians have been trained to operate the station independently. Some are already managing the facility and receiving data. Minister of Education and Innovation Sanet Steenkamp described what this means in practical terms. The station will provide independent, high-resolution imagery to strengthen border and maritime monitoring, environmental protection, and disaster management. Real-time access to satellite data will improve responses to natural disasters such as floods and wildfires, without delays linked to international data-sharing restrictions. Chinese Ambassador Zhao Weiping emphasized that the station will be fully owned and operated by Namibia. A second phase will follow, developing satellite data industry applications and providing further training. This is not about flags or ceremonies. This is about a nation acquiring the capacity to see itself, its borders, its disasters, its resources, without asking permission from anyone else. The challenges that remain. Let us not romanticize. Namibia's path forward is not guaranteed. Economist Joseph Kephas Shihama provides the sobering context. Namibia's economy is projected to grow at approximately 3.8% in 2026. Growth is expected in mining, construction, energy, and agriculture. But structural challenges remain prominent. High unemployment, persistent income inequality, overdependence on mining, declining revenues from diamond exports as lab-grown alternatives eat into the market, fiscal pressures that may reduce public development spending, rising inflation in housing and essential goods. Shihama is blunt. Strategic diversification is now an imperative rather than an option. Agriculture, agro-processing, manufacturing, energy, tourism, and the digital economy represent promising avenues to deepen value addition, expand exports, and create employment especially for Namibia's youthful population. The African Continental Free Trade Area offers opportunities to leverage regional demand. But achieving these goals requires consistent policies, infrastructure investments, debt sustainability, and strong institutional governance. Minister of International Relations and Trade, Selma Ashipala Musavi, addressing her staff in February 2026, highlighted 4 sectors of competitive advantage: agriculture, mining, renewable energy, and logistics. She also noted the external challenges. Extreme weather events and climate-related shocks are increasing across the globe, and this directly affects food security, water security, migration factors, and sustainable development for Namibia. The vision is clear. The execution is the challenge. The choice ahead. Here is what makes Namibia's moment different from the extraction economies of the past. The green hydrogen projects are not just about exporting energy. They are about building a domestic hydrogen economy. Trucks running on hydrogen, port equipment running on hydrogen, a hydrogen academy training Namibian technicians. The satellite station is not just about receiving data. It is about building domestic capacity to analyze and act on that data. 14 Namibians now know how to operate a ground station. They can train the next 14. The knowledge stays. The Kaoko Fria project is not just about building a port. It is about building a port with 70% African ownership, a smart city designed for Namibians, a railway that connects not just to global markets, but to regional neighbors. This is the model that the old extraction economies never offered. Nigeria's oil wealth built little domestic capacity. The Democratic Republic of Congo's minerals built few Congolese technicians. The pattern was always the same: raw materials out, finished products in, and the knowledge gap never closed. Namibia is attempting something different, not just extracting, not just exporting. Building. The old narrative about Africa was simple: rich resources, poor people, corrupt leaders, foreign companies taking everything. That narrative is not wrong about the past, but it is insufficient for the future. In Namibia today, 3 projects are converging: green hydrogen at Walvis Bay, satellite technology in Windhoek, a smart city and deep-sea port in Kunene. Each is different. Each faces its own challenges. Each could fail. But together they represent something that the old narrative cannot accommodate: Africans building the capacity to generate their own energy, see their own territory from space, and design their own cities. Prime Minister Ngurare, accepting the satellite station, spoke of the enduring friendship and strong bilateral relations between our nations and people. Governor Muharukwa, promoting the smart city, spoke of unlocking the region's logistics, thereby boosting the economy of the region. Michael Petrus, driving the Kaoko Fria project, spoke of putting people first. These are not the voices of victims. These are the voices of builders. The road ahead is not guaranteed. The challenges are real. The skepticism of a public that has seen promises broken before is justified. But the alternative, waiting for someone else to build it, waiting for permission, waiting for the old model to somehow start working, that alternative is no longer acceptable. Namibia is not waiting anymore. This is Voice of Africa. We do not narrate helplessness. We document the building of African power, grid by grid, satellite by satellite, port by port. If this story moved you, share it. Send it to someone who needs to see that African nations are not waiting for permission to build their future. Subscribe to Voice of Africa. Every week, we trace the new lines being drawn across the African map, not the borders drawn in Berlin, the energy corridors, the data links, the partnerships built on African terms. And comment below, where are you watching from? Windhoek, Walvis Bay, Kunene, Johannesburg, Nairobi, London, New York. Let us see the full map of this community. Let us prove that the diaspora is watching, that the continent is listening, and that the old narrative of African dependency is being retired. Megawatt by megawatt, satellite pass by satellite pass, brick by brick. The sun over the Namib desert is powering hydrogen molecules. The satellite above is sending data to Windhoek. The cranes at Walvis Bay are lifting cargo. Namibia is building. The question is not whether Africa can build. The question is whether the world is ready to watch.